Hello there, Commonwealth from here. We are finally here. Over 6 years after Zelda Breath of the Wild was released, and close to 4 years after the reveal of the 20th Zelda game, Tears of the Kingdom, which now has received its final age ratings and will be out with its massive combinations and new sky on May 12th. Nevertheless, between now and then, a lot awaits us, more specifically, the entire marketing campaign, which has been more or less missing up to this point. So be sure to leave a like, subscribe and press the notification bell, as we are going for 2023 likes in this one, and let's go over everything you need to know about Tears of the Kingdom's release year. In 2022, we got a delay with 7 seconds of new footage and then another 1 minute and 30 seconds long teaser, which ended with the reveal of the title and release date of the game. Absolutely no gameplay shown, or for that matter any new NPCs, not counting Ganondorf, but he is the villain naturally, and even he was missing throughout 2022. Luckily, the game is the most anticipated, as confirmed at the 2022 Game Awards, which is promising for seeing way more of the title soon. Though likely not in January. The answer as to why is simple. Fire Emblem Engage release, but beginning from February, it is likely to be all Zelda, along with the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Fittingly enough, February 1st marks exactly 100 days to the release, which could indicate a 100-day campaign, and within it we find February 21st, the 37th anniversary day of the Legend of Zelda franchise. Though to even get to that stage, the game needs to be in a presentable state, which the debug team at Mario Club, which building I passed several times while being in Kyoto, are probably still very hard at work at. And the debugging is the final process along with the localization of the game, which most likely has been going on for nearly a year already. The reason to believe so, and that the game is done, comes from the game being at last rated in America after getting its PEGI 12 rating in Europe by the title reveal in September. E10 and plus, so no Twilight Princess like teen rating, just like Breath of the Wild. Secondly, we have Nintendo Spain, who in the middle of December published a brief video on their Facebook page updating about the localization of the game, and more specifically, the recording of Spanish voice actors, confirming at the same time that they are already well on the way with recordings. Another reassuring sign that there will be no more delays and that the specific date given back in September, Friday, May 12th, is the final one. And I believe them, as voice recordings are one of the last tasks done in gaming. Something we know since even Zelda's recordings for Breath of the Wild from E3 2016 were changed before the release in 2017. With all this in mind, we can pretty much divide the marketing prior to release into 3 pieces of the Triforce. Power being a proper comeback with a beefy trailer, Wisdom being the first gameplay as we haven't seen any of it and need to know more, and Courage being the big final blowout from the development team for a very special presentation. In other words, here is what we can expect for the Triforce of Power in the first Nintendo Direct, most likely in February. The first proper 3 minutes or 180 seconds rather than 90 seconds long trailer with voice acted characters. A milestone in the marketing of the game and a reassurance that we are almost there, the release of the game. As we speak, Nintendo in Kyoto, Japan, Redmond, USA and Frankfurt, Germany are securing all the details for Tears of the Kingdom's build-up to that very moment. And to be completely honest, all but 1 or 2 exceptions will be restricted to Nintendo Direct trailers, along with shorter YouTube and Twitter uploads and clips. Just like what was the case with Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, Splatoon 3 and even Bayonetta 3 throughout 2022. It all allows Nintendo to stay in control, pre-record and keep it all digital, and avoid any live streams until the last big physical event before the release, the Triforce of Wisdom, PAX East in Boston from March 23rd to 26th. And I'm going to be completely honest, I don't expect to see any final gameplay of the game until this point, slightly over 1.5 months prior to release. Call me crazy, but this is in line with past 3D Zelda games. You don't get to see final gameplay in full screen and with Game HUD until the game has been demoed by the press and public at Nintendo's convention of choice. In the past, this has been E3, but due to the cancellation of physical E3 in 2020, 2021 and 2022, it seems that PAX East 2023 will be the place to get this honor instead. Fortunately for Nintendo, this isn't the first time they've had a smaller but dedicated to a game booth in Boston, as they did exactly the same thing with Animal Crossing New Horizons at the last PAX East they attended in 2020. And the reason to believe so is that PAX West 2022 marked the return of Nintendo with physical booths, and a booth dedicated to Splatoon 3 only days prior to its release. And in fact, we got our first tease of what to expect at Nintendo Live at Tokyo Big Sight in 2022, with the first physical mini-booth and statue from the most anticipated game. That is most likely what the Japanese public will get prior to release, as with Breath of the Wild, Nintendo has learned that open-air Zelda is far more popular in America and Europe than the Land of the Rising Sun. Hence PAX East 2023, as there's nothing else prior to the release, or E3 for that matter. Here we can expect to finally see producer Eiji Aonuma and potentially director Hidemaro Fujibayashi at a physical stage again in the US for the first time since E3 2019, when the game was revealed. Since then, until PAX West 2022, the Nintendo Treehouse Live team also broadcasted only digitally from their homes, as we saw with Age of Calamity prior to the release of that game in 2020. Now, we might see the first proper walkthrough on stage again since 2019, broadcasted to everyone watching around the world. All while attendees of PAX East try out the demo of the game and are naturally blown away as they get to try what they up to now have only seen, the second reinvention of the open world genre. Boom, everything is set for the release. Well, almost, as we still have the Triforce of Courage, a potential dedicated presentation in the final month prior to release. As in 2022, Nintendo hosted dedicated presentations to Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and Splatoon 3 in June and August, before their releases in July and September. Hence in April, a Zelda Direct, the more likely titled Zelda Tears of the Kingdom Direct, might be announced a day prior. Now we have to remember that April has Easter, and Easter Sunday takes place on April 9th, so don't expect anything prior to Wednesday, April 12th or Thursday, April 13th. First option is on my father's birthday, so I guess I have to apologize to him in advance, but it is also exactly 1 month prior to the release of Tears of the Kingdom, so he will understand. On May 12th, we had the release of Tears of the Kingdom, which is also the birthday of my Norwegian grandma, and used to be of my good friend Desmond Daniel Amofa, also known as Edeka, and on June 13th is my own birthday and the opening day of E3 2023. The 12th or 13th will be really crazy for me those months, but enough about me and my family's birthdays, since it is time for me to detail what else I think Nintendo will detail in March, April and May. Short up to 30-second clips from the game, along with seasonal postcards like in the case of Breath of the Wild, where we got one for Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas and Valentine's Day in 2016 and 2017. This time we might start with Valentine's Day, unless this one is too close to the first Nintendo Direct of the year and get additional ones for the Zelda anniversary on Tuesday the 21st of February, perhaps something for Easter, unless this one isn't too close to a Zelda Direct. Well, I guess you get the point. But since we're still on the topic of a Zelda Direct, what could we see in it, apart from the obvious big final trailer, like the one we got for Breath of the Wild at the 2017 Nintendo Switch presentation? Well, more gameplay overviews, introductions to certain characters, weapons and other gear found in the game, new locations, and the one thing that we're used to at this point, with the dedicated presentations. A tradition which Smash Bros. Ultimate first established in late 2018, the announcement of a paid expansion pass. Even so, I'm actually questioning whether we will get DLC this time. Hear me out. The expansion pass of Breath of the Wild delayed the development of Tears of the Kingdom by several months, and was one of the reasons as to why this has been the longest wait ever from one Zelda title to the next one, 2017 to 2023, over 6 years, and the by far longest wait from reveal to release, 1 month short of 4 years. To bring the numbers back to 5 years and something months between open world releases and 3 years from reveal to release, there's no room for DLC this time, as DLC and major expansions take away valuable development time for the next game, and is a good reason as to why we also are in the longest 3D Mario release gap ever. We can thank the brilliant Bowser's Fury for that. Ambition definitely prolonged development, but expansions do that and delayed the development of the next installment. Hence, with a potential expansion pass for Tears of the Kingdom, we are looking at another 6 years until the next big 3D Zelda release, 2030. Yes, in the next decade. Definitely on the next Nintendo system, and possibly even late in its life cycle. Unless it is another launch title, just like Breath of the Wild was for the Nintendo Switch and Tears of the Kingdom is for the Switch 2. That is a rabbit hole that we sadly don't have time to jump into right now, but definitely will do before the release, as if this is the end of the Switch in 2023 and Tears of the Kingdom is a dual release, then we understand 100% why so little was shared of the game throughout 2022. Anyway, that is Zelda Tears of the Kingdom's release here. So if you haven't already, do the following. Like this video, subscribe to our channel, and press that notification bell, and with all notifications on to not miss any of our Zelda Tears of the Kingdom videos. For now, I will just say happy release year, and yes, 2023 will be the year when we will play this game and our long-awaited dreams will come true. And as always, we love you all for your support as you rock, and please enjoy one or both of these two awesome videos.